Well, Razorback fans, it looks like Sam Pittman's staying. All right, we probably just need to move on from that. So what are you going to do about it? Well, let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you, of course, by our friends over at FanDuel. If you check out FanDuel with the big return on FanDuel, new customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your team wins and your bet wins your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. Hope everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful Thursday as we are getting closer to the weekend. And I know that we're going to have some things to talk about when it comes to Sam Pittman and football, right now at least, because that seems to be between that and the attendance. That's all it is right now for Razorback sports. Want to know Sam Pittman's status and the attendance at Razorback basketball games. I mean, I'm getting kind of tired of it, but hey, if it's what you guys want to talk about, that's what you want to talk about. Well, a lot of the things have started to come out more and more so about Arkansas and about the fact that it looks like Sam Pittman's going to be returning next season as head coach. There's been reports of this, or at least feelings of this, but Brandon Marcelo of 24/7 Sports has really laid it out pretty plainly as far as the plan goes for Arkansas and for Hunter Yurachek and the future of the football program. In fact, I had a chance to interview him on Inside Arkansas Live, and here's just a gist of what he had to say about Sam Pittman. Take a listen.
As we talk here and record this, as of this moment, things can always change, but as of this moment, nothing's going to happen. Sam Pittman will be the head coach at Arkansas 2025 if they beat Louisiana Tech and/or Missouri. They get to a bowl game. I know a lot of Arkansas fans, especially, I wouldn't say vocal minority, but I'll just say a lot of people on social media, the internet. Yeah, the thing is, people who you rarely speak online when you're happy about something. You're usually coaxed to say something when you're pissed off or upset or you're sick of something. And so a lot of the venom has been online for Sam Pittman. And I'll say this, personally, my belief, and also from talking to folks, is that Arkansas is in a state right now where they need some consistency, some stability there. And if you are to make a change and fire Sam Pittman, and then you go, we got to start all anew, and you bring someone in, I think too many people out there have fallen in love with the idea that there are a dime a dozen Kurt Cignettis and Deion Sanders out there. They're not.
So that was Brandon Marcelo Inside Arkansas Live putting it out there of, hey, Sam Pittman's going to be the coach next season for Arkansas. And I tend to believe it, although I think that there is some issues with that. I believe that there are some discrepancies in maybe the reasoning behind Arkansas's feeling of that. But it's also a matter of not every fan's going to get what they want, and it's hard sometimes to find the pulse of the fan base if you're not in the fan base. I'm not bragging about myself, but I am going to say this. I like to think that I am pretty well connected with the fan base. One, because I am a fan. And two, I do this podcast. I do Inside Arkansas. I talk with many of you, and not only people who are of the younger generation, but of the older generation. And the vast majority of people that I've talked to want to change and want to do something different from Sam Pittman. It's plain and simple. But that doesn't seem to be the case. So let's play that game. Let's play that game that Sam Pittman is coming back as the head coach for Arkansas. Let's play the game that Arkansas beats Louisiana Tech. Say they beat it, say Missouri. Hey, go 8-5 and with a bowl win or whatever it is. Let's just go ahead and play that game, because it seems like maybe not the wins and losses, but the idea of him being coach next year is going to be a reality. What is he going to do? What is he going to have to do? If you're stuck with somebody, you don't want, you can do it one of two ways. You can either just give up on it, not watch it, not care about it, which we all know better than that. Or you sit there and be like, okay, well, since we're stuck here, What are you going to do? What are you going to do with this? Prove to me. Get me excited. Make something happen. I'll be waiting over here. Well, first and foremost, Sam Pittman has to retain his staff, or at least the coordinators. He's got to keep Bobby Petrino. He's got to keep Travis Williams. And he's got to keep the nucleus that is the assistant coaches. Because I do believe, and we'll talk about this as far as coaching goes, I do believe Arkansas has a pretty good coordinator group there, especially on offense and defense. So first and foremost, you got to do that. Second, you got to figure out who you're losing and who you're okay with losing. You know, it's easy to retain players when you're winning and having some success. But in this day and age of the transfer portal, Arkansas lost some key players from last season that they probably shouldn't have, or you wish they still had. You know, I mean, Chris Pupal would still be a great linebacker on this team, and they lost him after last year. They lost him to all their linebackers, in fact. And then you got to look at it as like, okay, so who are we going to lose, or who's thinking about leaving and moving on, and are they worth paying up in the NIL to keep? Figure that out. Because there's some players that are just going to be moving on. Like Landon Jackson's moving on, for sure. That guy's going to the NFL. Jaquinton Jackson's moving on. He's out of eligibility. Andrew Armstrong moving on. You're losing a lot of your wide receivers. I think Tyrone Broden's moving on. I think Isaac Teslaw's moving on. You're losing a lot, but as far as the ones you have control over and the ones you can figure out, who are you going to keep? Who are you going to say, hey, this is worth having? You figure that out. And next, you just go and address the needs. If you are going to be the coach, great. Go and get you a stellar group of players out of that transfer portal. Address the needs. Because you're going to need some offensive linemen. And the offensive linemen's not been terrible this year, but they've not been good. They've just kind of been average. So improve on that. Get you some skill position guys. Get you some defensive players. Get you some secondary guys for sure. And hammer that. Hammer the transfer portal right crazy. Then you can do the high school class. I don't even care about the high school class. I know it's somewhat important, but I really don't care. I do not care. But then also, something that maybe gets overlooked a little bit, and this may cause some controversy for some of you. You got to keep Taylon Green. Now, I know some people may feel a certain way about Taylon Green. I actually still like Taylon Green. I see potential there, just like many of you do, and many of us have. And I do believe he has gotten better as the season has gone on. It's not to say there hasn't been mistakes, but he has done better. And I think after getting another year in the Petrino system, I think of getting healthy, getting more comfortable, being that guy, having that retention. I think there is a possibility, not a guarantee, but a possibility, a strong possibility that the offense will be exponentially even better having a seasoned veteran quarterback in that same system with Bobby Petrino staying on next year. Again, possibility. So do all of those things. It sounds simple in the way it's put. It sounds like it's easy enough to do. But you got to execute it. But here's my fear, folks. This is my biggest fear about next year and keeping Sam Pittman. If Arkansas was to play the same exact schedule this year that they do next year, I sit back and I'm like, okay, I could see it. I could see Arkansas winning some games there. I could see them even making an improvement from this past year. Problem is they're not. The non-conference slate gets exponentially more difficult as not only are you playing Notre Dame at home, but you also have Arkansas State in Little Rock, which I know Arkansas State's not great, but they're really going to want that game. So you're going to have to play your A game on that. You also have to go to Memphis and play Memphis. That's your non-conference slate. And then your SEC slate, oh, goody. It's the same exact schedule, only reversed in locations. Your home games, Texas A&M, which, yes, it will be officially a Texas A&M home game next year in Fayetteville. Texas A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State, Missouri. Those are your home games. Whoopee. Your road games, simple. It's Ole Miss, LSU, Texas, and Ole Miss. Did I say that? Tennessee, sorry. Tennessee, Texas, Ole Miss, LSU. Those are your home games. Or road games. I'm all over the place. Road games. So, yeah. To say it's a little bit more difficult next year would be an understatement. So if you have a much more difficult schedule and you're keeping the same coach and you go 7-5, how are you going to improve on that? It's a very simple thing. You got to improve the roster dramatically. Dramatically. According to Brandon Marcelo, the NIL has really been up to here this fall for football. Okay. So I guess we'll have to see it. I'm not happy, folks. Don't misconstrue it. I'm not happy at saying it's fine that Sam Pittman's coming back. I'm not happy about that. I think that I can be talked into certain things. I think I can still wait and see on certain things. But I am not going to sit here and just be like, hey, it is 100% the right move to keep Sam Pittman. I'm not going to do that. Because I have always felt like what's the fan base pulse and what the fan base wants, the fan base needs to have. And if they make a mistake, they need to live with it. I think Tennessee is a great example of that when they, made a vast protest of Greg Schiano and ended up bringing in Jeremy Pruitt. And they made a mistake with the Jeremy Pruitt thing, big time, and they paid for it. So I'm not excited. I'm not happy about it. But I'm just saying, if it is true that he's staying next year, it's going to have to look a certain way. It's going to have to be done a certain way. And there's not going to be any room for error or any room for time or patience. It's just not going to be the case. We'll talk about some coaching hires, though, under Pittman. It was a fascinating point that Brandon Marcelo brought up. We'll get to that and more on the other side of the break, so stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, all you Razorback fans out there, I got to tell you, with these holiday seasons coming up, you struggle to find the perfect gift for during the holidays? Maybe gift giving isn't your love language. You overthink and wind up with something disappointing or nothing at all. Are you buying for someone who has everything or just seems unpleasable? Like maybe a mother-in-law or something like that? And are you tired of wasting money on useless clutter that no one really needs? Well, we've got the perfect gift for you. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. It's so easy to use. Setup takes less than 60 seconds, and seamless sharing is there where you can invite friends and family to easily share photos via the free Skylight mobile app or email. No account or subscription is even required. It's beautiful to look in your home with photos that are displayed in HD resolution, and you can choose from 5 different frame styles, set it up in portrait or landscape mode. You also have 2 sizes to choose from, the original 10-inch or larger 15-inch gallery frame. They look perfect in any room, and they can stand on their own, or you can easily mount them to a wall. It's top-rated brand with over 1 million happy customers, thousands of 5-star reviews, and available in over 30 countries, recommended by the Today Show, Forbes, New York Magazine, and so much more. And now, as a special, limited time offer for all of our listeners, get $20 off your first purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. That's skylightframe.com/college. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/college. We're, of course, also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can get $5, bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just go to FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I'm not going to play this clip, but it was something that was really interesting I was talking to Brandon Marcelo about and bringing up the coaching hires of Sam Pittman under him as assistant in 5 years at Arkansas. And he made the note of his coaching hires have actually been really good, except for one horrible mistake in hiring Dan Enos as the offense coordinator. And at first I was kind of like, okay, well, that's cliche to say and all that. But then I started really thinking about it. No, Barry Odom at the time of the hire was really good, like a rock star hire. And I think he did a really good job. Him and Michael Schur both. in that defensive room. I think they did an awesome job. I know they struggled a lot in that 2022 season with having that awful pass defense, but not making excuses, but I still think that a lot of that had to do with injuries, especially to one Jalen Catalon. But not making excuses. It was bad, but I still felt overall he was a good coach, and I still think he's a great coach. He's over at UNLV doing good things. Kendall Briles was really good, and a lot of people gave me crap for it, but I always like Kendall Briles, and I still like Kendall Briles. And if you need any more evidence of maybe how great of a coach he is, look at what KJ Jefferson's been doing at UCF. Oh, wait, he's not even playing. He's the third-string quarterback over there. He went from being an all-SEC caliber quarterback under Kendall Briles to being benched and third-string quarterback over at UCF. Kendall Briles did that. Say what you want about it, but he did it. And he had a really good offense, an offense that was cooking, an offense that scored, had good production. It was there. So give a shout out to that. But that was really good by Pittman. And then when Barry Odom left, he hired Travis Williams. Now, people, again, you got to look. You can't look at every coach as just being like, okay, they're the best coach ever, or they suck terribly. Like, I think that Travis Williams has done a really good job, and the defense has been really good this year. I'll be honest, a lot better than I thought it would be. I thought the linebackers would be a major weakness, and it's not. The defensive line has been solid. I know the numbers in the secondary have been pretty brutal. But again, I'm not saying anything. But this is a defense that has, in their secondary at least, dealt with injury, but especially to Jalen Braxton, who was their best defensive back. He's been hurt all year. Well, I don't know. I have a hard time thinking he's going to come back next year. But the point is, Sam Pittman's done a good job with these hires. And hiring Bobby Petrino, I mean, come on. That was the best hire he made and the most exciting hire that he made. I think he's done a really good job of managing that. And because of that fact, there's been some positives. There's been some negatives of games and people expecting one thing but not getting another. But it comes down to the biggest problem is it's always come down to the small things. Like, it's not that Arkansas's defense is bad. It's just in the most inopportune moments or in the most inopportune times, they're bad. Or, I guess what you say, the same with the offense. The offense isn't bad at all. Statistically speaking, it's actually pretty good. But it's in the moments, in those games, those certain games that they just haven't been. And when you throw those inconsistencies on both sides of the ball, there's been games where the defense has been great, but the offense has not been. Or the offense has been great and the defense hasn't been. I mean, the Texas game this past weekend was a great example of that. The defense did their job. The offense couldn't. Against a team like Ole Miss, I know, it was a blowout city and they embarrassed you. Nobody played overly well, but there's no doubt that the defense was just cooked from beginning to end. But there were some things that the offense did all right with, especially going up against a really good defense in Ole Miss. Especially dealing with injury. My point is, the issues that Arkansas fans have with what Sam Pittman has done, or at least in the Sam Pittman tenure, is not about just one big thing that's been bad all the time. It's just a matter of getting everything to kind of go together on the same page and be good at the same time and be clicking at the same time. It's about the management of things. It's about the dealing with, in-game situations and timeouts. The small things that end up piling up and leading to a lot of failures. But he has done a good job with the coaches that he has hired. And hopefully he doesn't have to replace any of the coordinators. Because, again, I really like both of them. And I really think they can improve. But, man, maybe I'm just being hopeful now, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being hopeful. Maybe I'm trying to talk myself into it because I know it's inevitable. But it could have been a lot worse when it came to the coaching hires. And the coaches have stayed, too. Like Kendall Briles stayed except for when Pittman got tired of him and the Jimmy Sexton stuff and told him to get on. Barry Odom got a head coaching gig, so of course he left. Travis Williams has been around, so Petrino's been around. They're going to stay around for Sam Pittman unless they get fired or told to leave, which has happened before. All right, I'm going to bring up just a little bit of Razorback fans in this whole Bud Walton thing here in a second. So stay with us on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, all you Razorback fans, I got to tell you about Prize Picks. What is Prize Picks? Well, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made the daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. All right? You got to check it out. And we always will appreciate Prize Picks and them being a partner of us here. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get in on the action in sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineup stay in and play even if those players are injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discount select player projections up to 25% to provide more value for your lineups. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So I'm not going to go too deep into this because I felt like I've beat a dead horse at this point for the lack of attendance at Bud Walton Arena for games and everything. But as I put out on Twitter yesterday, you have all, and I'm going to say you, I'm talking to you Razorback fans, you all have been called out by me, by national media, by basketball people, by Kentucky fans, by Barstool Sports. They were talking about on Pardon My Take. I mean, everybody who's anybody has talked about this and has brought it up and has kind of called you out and saying, hey, what gives, Arkansas? You have a top 20 team. Why aren't you going to the games? You have good players. You got John Calipari. Why aren't you going to games? All of this is kind of coming into play. So you've been called out officially. Are you pissed about it? Of course you are. Do you want to do something about it? You want to shut everybody up? I would hope so. Well, it's a simple thing to do. Just show up. There's a game Friday night, 8 o'clock. Show up. Show up and shut them up. And still, a lot of you can't go. I've already seen some of the people say, well, high school playoff games, football. Fair. Give your tickets away. This has never been about buying tickets. The tickets are bought. Okay? You have them. So I'm not talking about the people who don't have season tickets. I'm talking to you season ticket holders. You have them. Either get rid of them, sell them, whatever. Do not let them go to waste. That's on you. That is on you. And if you are somebody who has those season tickets and you let them go to waste day after day, game after game, you need them taken away from you. It won't happen, but that's what you deserve. I get it. We get busy. I get it. You live far away. You live an hour or 2 away from Fayetteville. You can't come up for a midweek game. I'm not coming down on you for that. But in the digital age where you can transfer tickets instantly like that, you need them to be used, not gone to waste. So I want to see what that crowd looks like. And folks, I'm going to be honest. If that crowd on Saturday, or Friday night, I should say, is still another pathetic showing, and when I mean pathetic showing, I'm talking about less than 14,000, 15,000 people, then I'm truly going to know one of 2 truths. One, that the U of A and the people involved in season tickets failed once again to make a change and to fix the problem that is getting people butts and seats. And 2, you are not a basketball school. I hear that all the time, and I thought about it for a while. Basketball school. Arkansas is a basketball school. Not if you don't show up to this game. You've been challenged. You've been called out. You've been embarrassed. There's no excuse for it. People say all these other excuses. Well, there wasn't an excuse before under Muss, past few years. Crowds were always great. Why? What's the difference? Same time of year. Ticket prices haven't gone up. Pretty sure Bud Walton Arena is in the same place. No excuses. Show up to the games. And I said it before, I'll say it again. If you need to find somebody to use your tickets, let me know personally. DM me on Twitter. I will make sure that a Razorback fan gets your tickets. Yeah, I know you want to make money on it. I get it. And I'll even, if you need one trying to sell them, I'll try to do that too. But do not let them go to waste. And do not wait till the last minute either. If you know you're not going to go, and if you know you can't get your money back or can't sell them, give them to me, and I will gladly make sure a Razorback fan is there in your seat who wants to see the game and will enjoy it. Trying to do my part. I hope you do the same. Appreciate everybody listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.